une des institutions phares du continent. Quand il a pris les rênes de cette organisation, j'ai eu le privilège également de les soutenir dans le cadre des différentes réunions annuelles jusqu'à ce qu'en 2019, je devienne officiellement un membre du Conseil. Et donc, je viens sous ce prisme pour partager quelques réflexions, mais je vais vous épargner certains aspects, parce qu'une grande partie des réalisations et des accolades du professeur Orama ont déjà été présentées avec grande éloquence. Tout ce que je puis dire, c'est que en tant que conseil d'administration, nous sommes fiers d'être associés à son leadership. Le conseil le soutient fermement, lui et son équipe, la direction de la banque. Ils ont des idées très innovantes, si bien que parfois, nous, membres du conseil, nous sommes à la traîne. Mais je pense que les résultats engrangés démontrent du soutien profond du conseil. Lui, c'est un homme qui ne se fatigue jamais. Son programme de travail, j'ignore qui peut suivre un tel programme, parce que peu importe l'heure, que ce soit le jour comme la nuit, s'il y a un problème à résoudre, il est prêt. Il communique énormément à travers son leadership au sein du conseil. Il permet à tout le monde de prendre part aux décisions. Ainsi, personne n'est laissé pour compte dans le cadre des prises de décision. Si un membre du conseil soulève une question, il y répond et explique, ou même cherche la réponse pour que le problème soit résolu et non laissé en suspens. Donc, mesdames et messieurs, nous sommes témoins du changement d'une ère avec le professeur Orama. J'aimerais également sincèrement remercier sa famille, notamment son épouse et ses enfants qui nous l'ont prêté. La banque, le continent et le monde entier ont eu le plaisir d'avoir ces services. Alors que nous souhaitons la bienvenue à Georges en tant que leader de cette institution, alors qu'il intervient, alors qu'il y a tant de tensions partout dans le monde, et plus encore pour la banque, je pense qu'il est devenu une force majeure, et par conséquent, il y a un grand nombre de dossiers politiques à aborder, mais vous pouvez compter sur le soutien du Conseil parce que nous souhaitons faire avancer la banque plus loin pour que dans 10 ans, cette institution soit bien plus grande. La banque intervient là où les autres se retirent. C'est un grand défi. Merci infiniment, professeur Orama. Nous vous souhaitons tout le meilleur dans cette prochaine phase de votre vie. Nous espérons que vous allez à présent passer un peu plus de temps avec votre famille, tant que vous n'avez pas pu avoir pendant les 10 ans au cours desquels vous avez présidé cette organisation. Merci infiniment. Merci beaucoup. Quand on parle de l'Afrique, ce qu'on entend très souvent, c'est que l'âge médian, c'est 19 ans. Nous avons la population la plus jeune, bénie par Dieu. Une grande partie de la croissance qui se tiendra en Afrique va se tenir dans les villes et dans les régions sud. Et très souvent, ces villes, ces États sont plus rapprochés des populations pour des changements transformatifs. J'aimerais inviter un monsieur à nous présenter la relation d'Afreximbank avec des entités supranationales. C'est le représentant de l'État de Ghana. Des ovations alors qu'il monte sur la scène. Il s'agit du gouverneur exécutif de l'État de Ghana, à savoir le professeur de Ghana. Chers frères, Ok Orama et sa merveilleuse épouse, le président désigné, à savoir le docteur Elumbi et sa très belle épouse, les anciens présidents de la banque, l'ancien président, son Excellence le Macky Sall du Sénégal, l'ancien président du Niger, ancien président Madi Sambo, le président Aliko Dangote,
le président de Afreximbank, Dr Dejeleke, ancien gouverneur, ancien chef, M. Moustapha. Et toutes tous les entrepreneurs et personnalités distinguées, membres du conseil d'administration et la famille de l'Afreximbank présente ici avec nous aujourd'hui, fêtons l'éminent professeur Bénédicte Oramah. C'est un véritable honneur pour moi de prendre la parole ici et de joindre ma voix à tous ceux qui ont remercié Dieu de nous avoir fourni cette plateforme, la plateforme de l'Afrexim, qui a beaucoup à envisager en racontant, qui a transformé la vision en histoires de réussite. Il y a des personnes qui ont des visions, mais pas de plateforme. Il y a des personnes qui ont des plateformes, mais pas de vision. En fêtant Oramah, l'intellectuel, le brave, l'audacieux, le banquier, et Oramah, la solution. Et pourtant, qui reste très humble. Cet homme a été largement responsable de l'émancipation économique du continent africain et même des Caraïbes. J'aime dire que nous sommes les défendeurs de Oramah et de l'Afreximbank. Le PIB de notre État était de 2,5 milliards de dollars américains. Le professeur m'a appelé, il m'a dit « Je vais créer la première assurance qualité dans votre État. Ce centre est destiné à garantir la qualité des produits et des exportations de Nigeria. Et cela a augmenté le volume des exportations du Nigeria en raison de l'assurance qualité. » J'ai appelé en disant que j'allais créer une zone agricole spéciale. Dit de ce que cela signifierait d'avoir ce parc industriel, cette zone. Il m'a donné un catalogue de toutes les zones qui ont réussi sur le continent.
Have a look at how the successful zones have truly worked, so I can better appreciate their operations and their impact. This was indeed a very insightful and profound experience for me. From Ethiopia, we flew back to Cairo, and of course, we flew back with George Elombi himself, and that was my maiden flight to Cairo, sometime right after COVID, I think late 2020. This turned out to be a match-making event between myself and the man who has successfully established SAPZs across Africa, the man called Gagan Gupta, the CEO and founder of Arise, who just shared his testimony with us earlier on in the session. This was how we birthed Nigeria's reference special agro-processing zone called the Industrial Platform, REMO. We also call it our Aerotropolis because it now hosts the best state airport in Nigeria and also has the biggest textile processing plant in the world, of course, facilitated by Oramah and Afreximbank, also in the making. This is a $2.5 billion investment that will employ 250,000 people working there every day, producing 1,000 tons of cotton a day. Professor Oramah, thank you. Thanks to you, today, Ogun State's GDP stands at about 17 trillion, about $11 billion. 5 years afterwards, that our economy has increased fivefold. We are the fastest growing subnational government in Nigeria today. It turned me into a superstar. Prof, you have impacted the continent like no other. You have impacted Nigeria like no other. From PAPS, AFCTA, to intra-Africa trade, the Naira for crude that has helped, amongst other President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's reforms, led to the stabilization of the Naira. And of course, the African Medical Center of Excellence, which has been referenced so many times in Abuja, and the International Trade Center. I've listened to all the testimonies and accolades, particularly that of George, your successor, which was quite emotional. These are indeed indelible legacies ingrained on the marble of time. You are and remain an illustrious son of Nigeria that we're indeed very proud of and pleased with. The narrative of your life is truly an inspiring one for all and the upcoming generation. I'm here on behalf of the entire good people and government of Ogun State, and also the governors of the Nigerian Governors Forum. Congratulate you for finishing strong and finishing well. I want to take our time to appreciate Oramah'S boss and Oramah'S president, his wife Chinelu, for keeping him grounded. Look at the attendance today. Men and women of substance have come from all over the world to celebrate you. This is what impact looks like. Prof, we appreciate you. We are proud of you. God bless you as you move on sabbatical. Definitely the last is not heard of you. And to George, President-designate, congratulations. No doubt you are well equipped with all you need, and we have no doubt you will build on and take the bank to loftier heights. And I want to quote what I heard earlier today. If it is possible, it will be done. If it is impossible, it can be done. God bless Afreximbank. God bless Egypt. God bless Nigeria. God bless Africa. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Governor. Prof, one of the things that you've done is your friendships have spread far and wide beyond even the business world. I noticed in the corner there, did you know that Afreximbank, when it was first established, $1 million, the first $1 million came from the United Nations Development Fund. And actually from New York, I spy over there. I just want her to be acknowledged. If you could please stand. I see Ahuna Eziakonwa, the head of Africa, all the way from New York City, from UNDP. Please stand and be acknowledged. Ladies and gentlemen, strong supporter and friend of not just Professor Oramah and Afreximbank, UNDP and Afreximbank. Now, as we move on, Prof, we talked about you building bridges with the Caribbean. So let's move on to the Caribbean. Now, His Excellency Dikon Mitchell is hereby represented, that he is the Prime Minister of Grenada and a strong supporter and friend to Afreximbank and Africa. We're going to hear a few words now. I'd like to invite to the stage, representing His Excellency Dikon Mitchell, His Excellency Ambassador Richard Allen Nixon. He is the Senior Resident Ambassador, Ministry of Foreign Affairs for Grenada, ladies and gentlemen. Please give him a round of applause as he takes the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. Actually, good night. Standing on the protocols already established, and I will keep my remarks very short, and these words are from Prime Minister the Honorable Dikon Mitchell, your very good friend, Professor, and he apologizes for not being here today because of some pressing matters back at Capitol. So, ladies and gentlemen, his message is as follows. In July, during African Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum 2025 held in Grenada, we honored President Oramah in a manner befitting his vibrant legacy and a profound appreciation by planting a flamboyant tree whose origins are from Madagascar at Camahon Park, a national park shared by all Grenadians and in proximity to a National Heroes Park. This tree, known for its brilliant red blossoms and resilience, the flamboyant tree now stands as a living tribute and enduring impact you have had on Grenada. It now stands as a legacy of his enduring contributions to African-Caribbean relations and a reminder of the roots he has planted to deepen and strengthen us for future generations. This tree symbolizes the fiery passion which Professor Oramah pursued, unity between Africa and the Caribbean, and the shade of opportunity he has helped create for generations to come. As it grows, so too will the bonds he helped forge. Rooted in shared history, nourished by mutual respect, and blossoming with promise. And so, it is with deep respect and admiration that I stand with all of you in joining to honor a man whose vision, leadership, and unwavering commitment have left an indelible mark on the African continent and its diaspora. Professor Oramah's tenure at the helm of Afreximbank has nothing been short of transformational. Under his leadership, the bank managed to rise even above through the commodity risks, COVID-19 pandemic, and other geographical disruptions. Yet, beyond all this, his legacy has inspired leaders across the Caribbean and redefined what it means to be a part of global Africa. Professor Oramah understood that Africa's strength lies not only within its borders, but also in its people, who by divine intervention are strategically scattered across the globe. He championed and gave birth to the concept of global Africa, forging new pathways and cooperation between Africa and the Caribbean. His efforts led to the historic inclusion of 12 CARICOM states as partner members of Afreximbank, with more poised to join. Professor Oramah's impact has not only been continental, it has been global. His work has inspired Caribbean leaders to reimagine our place in the global economy to see ourselves not as isolated islands, but as an integral part in a united and prosperous global Africa. As the baton is now passed and handed over to President-designate Dr. George Alumbi of this prestigious organization, rest assured that Grenada's commitment remains unwavering, and we offer a full support in continuing the work to realize the transformative realities in which global Africa promises and brings to all. On behalf of the government and people of Grenada, and indeed the Caribbean, I extend my personal appreciation and heartfelt gratitude to you and your family, knowing fully well that your influence and legacy would remain alive in us and in generations to come. May your legacy continue to guide us as we walk into the future together. And you're welcome to visit us in Grenada, you and your family, to come and relax as you plan the next stages of your life. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please make way for the former President of Senegal, Excellency Macky Sall.
Excellencies, former head of states of Niger, my dear friend President Muhammadu Yusufu, Vice President of Nigeria, the Governor, dear President Oramah, President Olambi, dear Aliko Dangote, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed, dear friends. It is always a pleasure to be among the Afreximbank family. Today is a special moment, a moment of gratitude and transition. We bid farewell to Professor Benedict Oramah, and we welcome Dr. George Alumbi as he takes the helm of this great institution. For more than 30 years, Afreximbank has stood by Africa. It has supported our trade, our investments, and our dreams. It has financed major projects, opened new markets, and built bridges between our nations. Through a range of innovations, you all talk about that all the day long. The bank has shown the power of African cooperation. It has even reached beyond our shores to strengthen ties with our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean. But Afreximbank is more than a bank. It is a shield in times of crisis. When COVID struck, the bank acted swiftly, helping countries to trade, to buy vaccines, and to protect their people. Je voudrais à ce point particulier insisté sur le leadership du président Oramah lorsque la Covid a frappé et que nos nations isolées n'avaient pas les capacités d'acheter des vaccins au moment où toutes les grandes nations s'arrachaient la production de vaccins. Il a fallu créer une centrale d'achat à l'échelle du continent sous la conduite d'Afreximbank et du professeur Oramah. When the war in Ukraine disrupted global markets, Afreximbank once again stepped in to support African trade. Despite global challenges, the bank achieved remarkable results. These achievements carry the mark of one man, Professor Benedict Oramah. Dear brother Benedict, we salute you. Your leadership has inspired us. Your vision has strengthened Africa's confidence in itself. Your legacy will live on in the story of Afreximbank. I wish you success and happiness in all your future paths. Now to our brother, Dr. George Elambi, I will say congratulations. You know this institution very well. You carry its spirit in your heart. We trust your leadership and your dedication. May you continue this mission with strength and wisdom. As Africa advances toward a future of prosperity, Afreximbank is the mirror of an Africa that believes, an Africa that stands tall, that looks ahead, that builds its own destiny. As we honor Professor Oramah and welcome Dr. Elambi, we renew our faith in Africa's promise and in the power of unity, trade, and shared ambition. I thank you.
Merci beaucoup. That is His Excellency Macky Sall, the former president of Senegal. Now, there's a saying that goes, success has many fathers, but failure is an orphan. And the AFCFTA is a big success. But when it was a baby, there was one gentleman who believed in it and used his position, power, and influence as the president of Niger in order to push through this idea. And he faced resistance, but together with Afreximbank, they made people see. And now the AFCFTA is the driving force and the hope for millions and billions of Africans. So I want you to give him a robust round of applause as I invite to the stage. We call him the AFCFTA champion. He is the former president of Niger. Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency Mamadou Issoufou.
Mesdames et messieurs, permettez-moi de saluer le président Macky Sall, permettez-moi de saluer également Monsieur et Madame Oramah, ainsi que Monsieur et Madame Elwambi, ainsi que toutes les personnalités présentes ici. Permettez-moi de me réjouir d'avoir l'occasion de témoigner des services rendus à Afreximbank et à l'Afrique par Bénédicte Oramah à travers son incroyable odyssée à la tête de notre banque panafricaine depuis 2015. Permettez-moi d'associer à ce témoignage son épouse, car, comme disait le poète, je cite le poète, sans la femme, l'homme serait rude, grossier, solitaire, et il ignorerait la grâce qui n'est que le sourire de l'amour. La femme suspend autour de lui les fleurs de la vie, comme ces lianes des forêts qui décorent le tronc des chênes de leur guirlande parfumée. Fin de citation. On peut dire la même chose de l'homme pour sa femme. Cela étant dit, fut un jour mémorable, le 13 juillet 2015, qui vit Bénédicte Oramah désigné troisième président de notre institution panafricaine. A priori, on ne pouvait pas savoir ce que ce jour serait mémorable, car le ciel fait rarement naître ensemble l'homme qui veut et l'homme qui peut. Parce que parfois, l'homme qui peut ne veut pas et l'homme qui veut ne peut pas. On ne pouvait pas le savoir, bien qu'il y ait eu déclaré aux actionnaires, à l'issue de sa nomination, je cite, « Je ne suis peut-être pas actionnaire de votre banque, mais mes intérêts dans la banque sont pleinement alignés sur les vôtres. Aujourd'hui, on le sait. On le sait, ce jour était effectivement un jour mémorable. Au regard du bilan d'une décennie d'épopée bancaire, le total des actifs et des garanties a été multiplié par plus de 8 entre 2015 et 2025. Celui des revenus a été multiplié par 7. Le bénéfice a augmenté de manière vertigineuse par rapport à son niveau de 2015. Les fonds propres ont été multipliés par plus de 7. Les liquidités sont restées fortes. Les sources de financement sont plus diversifiées. Ces excellents résultats ont été obtenus en dépit de la crise de la Covid et du soutien insuffisant des États qui auraient pu, pour citer un exemple, exiger des investisseurs institutionnels, notamment les fonds de pension, de contribuer à la capitalisation des banques nationales et panafricaines de développement. Mesdames et messieurs, le professeur Oramah a donc tenu les promesses faites aux actionnaires. Au-delà de ces derniers, il a été, durant ses 2 mandats, au service de l'Afrique mondiale. Cette Afrique qui comprend le continent et la 6e région, c'est-à-dire l'ensemble de la diaspora, notamment les Caraïbes. En effet, au-delà de ce qu'il a appelé avec une pointe d'ironie, l'alignement de ses intérêts sur ceux des actionnaires, professeur Oramah a su aligner tous les intérêts sur ceux du continent. C'est là la marque de ce que nous appelions, dans notre jargon d'étudiants, un leader techniquement compétent et politiquement conscient. Professeur Oramah à l'Afrique chevillée au cœur. Il s'était fixé l'objectif de contribuer à lui redonner sa grandeur. Il trouva, par un heureux hasard du calendrier, un cadre à la hauteur de ses ambitions continentales. L'agenda 2063, celui de l'Afrique que nous voulons, adopté en 2013, soit 2 ans avant sa désignation à la tête de notre banque panafricaine. L'homme fit de celle-ci un instrument pour promouvoir l'intégration économique africaine, un moyen d'enrichir l'Afrique mondiale par l'investissement et le commerce. Je peux en témoigner. Je peux en témoigner pour avoir travaillé avec lui sur le projet de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine, le projet le plus avancé de l'agenda 2063. En rapport avec le secrétariat de la ZLECAf, il a su mobiliser des ressources financières pour la mise en place du fonds d'ajustement de la ZLECAf, du système de paiement panafricain, du système unique de garantie du transit, du Centre africain de recherche et d'innovation visant à stimuler le commerce intra-africain, dont le montant du financement passera à 40 milliards de dollars en 2026. L'industrialisation, notamment les chaînes de valeur régionales, avec la priorité donnée de plus en plus au financement et à la promotion des exportations à forte valeur ajoutée, sans oublier la promotion des contrats intra-africains d'ingénierie, d'approvisionnement et de construction, l'organisation de la foire commerciale intra-africaine, l'amélioration de la compétitivité des PME et le partage d'expériences et d'expertise, le développement des infrastructures de transport, des plateformes logistiques et énergétiques. Professeur Oramah a aussi joué un rôle essentiel dans la mutualisation des capacités des institutions financières panafricaines à travers des initiatives comme l'Alliance des institutions financières multilatérales africaines. Fervent militant de l'Afrique mondiale, professeur Oramah a œuvré au renforcement des relations entre l'Afrique et les Caraïbes, sous son impulsion. Les actions et initiatives phares ont été conçues et mises en œuvre, notamment des stratégies pour augmenter le volume des échanges commerciaux entre l'Afrique et les Caraïbes, des programmes de financement et d'investissement visant à soutenir les entreprises africaines et caribéennes, notamment des crédits et des garanties pour encourager les investissements, des forums et conférences pour promouvoir les opportunités d'investissement en Afrique et dans les Caraïbes, des programmes de formation et d'éducation pour améliorer les compétences nécessaires dans le commerce et l'investissement. Professeur, j'ai noté, en écoutant vos discours, combien vous tenez chaque fois que vous en avez l'occasion à rendre hommage à vos prédécesseurs. C'est là une marque de votre sagesse, de votre humilité. C'est aussi une marque de reconnaissance et d'estime, caractéristique d'un grand leadership. Vous avez prouvé qu'on peut être grand sans rabaisser autrui, en l'occurrence sans accabler ses prédécesseurs. Vous avez prouvé l'importance que vous attachez à la solidarité entre les générations. Le passage du témoin à Georges Elombi, que je félicite, nous rassure. C'est ce que cette tradition sera respectée. Dans la continuité, il va certainement consolider et amplifier les actions et initiatives en vue de promouvoir l'investissement et le commerce, conditions de l'émergence et du développement du continent. Professeur Oramah, vous avez accompli une carrière remarquable. Vous avez eu un parcours transformateur. Certains disent que vous avez les vertus des héros d'Homère, notamment le courage d'Achille et l'intelligence d'Ulysse. Tout Africain doit en être fier. Votre héritage perdurera. Je fonde l'espoir que l'histoire que vous avez écrite à la traite d'Afreximbank sera connue par la jeunesse africaine. Je fonde l'espoir que chaque Africain, vous prenant pour modèle, criera « Je veux être Oramah ou rien ». Je veux être Oramah ou rien. Je veux être Oramah ou rien. Professeur, vous quittez Afreximbank après 32 ans de bons et loyaux services. Vous avez 64 ans. Âge de la décennie, de 60 à 70 ans. Et des études, notamment celles publiées par le New England Journal of Medicine, considèrent comme étant la plus productive en termes de réalisation puissante, de sagesse et d'impact. Quel que soit le plan que vous avez pour l'avenir, sachez que l'Afrique mondiale a encore besoin de votre expérience, de vos compétences, de votre sagesse. Je fonde l'espoir que vous continuerez à être à son service avec la même fermeté la même conviction, la même constance, la même résilience, le même niveau de leadership. Je vous souhaite bon vent. Merci de votre attention.
The champion of the AFCFTA, the former president of Niger, welcome. We go from a former head of state and quickly we move on to a current head of state. Prof, I would like to introduce to the stage all the way from across the ocean what the AU called the sixth region, our brother, the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis. Please welcome everybody. Warm round of applause for His Excellency, Dr. Terence Mitchell Drew.
Good evening to all. Let me, of course, stand on the protocol that has been established. But allow me to recognize, of course, President Oramah and his dear wife, and also to recognize our brother, the incoming president, and his wife, to recognize former head of states, head of governments, or the institutions, leadership in the Afreximbank presently. A good evening to all. Let me say that is an esteemed pleasure for me to be here this evening, coming from the Caribbean just for a couple of days to really pay homage to a man whose legacy also has in it his meaningful connection to the Caribbean. And so as the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis and the incoming chairman of the Caribbean community, I bring, of course, our deep appreciation and gratitude for what President Oramah has done to connect Africa and the Caribbean. It is deep privilege. And before I continue, I see that they put the picture up. If you look at this picture, you wonder why it is here. This is one of our cabinet meeting room. And right behind, you can see a painting. That painting was gifted to me by President Oramah when he visited St. Kitts and Nevis. And I treasure it dearly. So that is my seat right there. And the painting is right behind me. And next to me is our national flag. That is how we consider president in our country. And so it is a deep privilege to stand here in Cairo, the cradle of so much of our shared civilization, to celebrate a man whose life's work has helped to redefine what global African leadership looks like. President Benedict Oramah. But I also bring greetings on behalf of my regional colleagues and CARICOM counterparts who remain steadfast in their commitment to deepening the bonds between Africa and the Caribbean. Together, we recognize that our progress is intertwined and our collaboration is essential to building a stronger, more united global Africa. So for me, this moment is personal. A farewell, yes, but also a continuation. Because what Professor Oramah built through Afreximbank is not merely an institution. It is an idea. It is the belief that Africa and her diaspora, including the Caribbean, of course, must not simply participate in the global economy, but must help to shape it. He taught many that Pan-Africanism can no longer be confined to speeches and sentiment. It must be structured, financed, and lived. I still remember vividly our first meeting in Barbados in 2022. I had only taken office as Prime Minister just a month before. In that moment, Professor Oramah spoke not as a banker when I met him in Barbados, but as a builder of bridges, of futures, and of faith in ourselves as a people. His clarity of purpose was striking, and his humility disarming. And from that simple conversation, I knew that St. Kitts and Nevis and the wider Caribbean had found not just a partner, but a brother to uplift all of us. That encounter planted the seed of what has become a historic moment, when our nations in the Caribbean became part and parcel of the Afreximbank family. But I must also point out that the first memorandum of understanding that was signed by any Caribbean nation with the Afreximbank was St. Kitts and Nevis. It was a bold step, but one rooted in trust. Trust mostly in Professor Oramah's vision. Trust in Africa's promise, and trust in the enduring ties that bind our peoples. From that decision flowed an entire movement, one that has seen the relationship between Africa and the Caribbean grow from an aspiration to a living, breathing partnership. So today, Afreximbank is no longer just an African institution. It is a global African institution. Its footprint in Bridgetown, Barbados, stands as a symbol of unity. And every time we gather, whether in Barbados, Guyana, the Bahamas, Grenada, in Africa, and now here in Cairo, we are witnessing the legacy of Benedict Oramah in action. He did not just finance trade, he financed trust. Very important. And managed transformation. Through his leadership, the bank has reimagined Pan-Africanism as something practical, measurable, and I dare say, unstoppable. He made it clear that when Africa and the Caribbean work together, we are not small, we are mighty, and a force to be reckoned with. Under his tenure, we have seen investment in education, culture, agriculture, renewable energy, and creative industries, all of which directly align with my government's own sustainable island state agenda in St. Kitts and Nevis. Our geothermal project, our agricultural cooperation agreements, our education partnerships, and even our seafood processing initiative, all these have been strengthened by bridges. Afreximbank, under his leadership, have helped to build. Professor Oramah's legacy is therefore not confined to balance sheets. It is written in the lives of young people who now see possibility where there was once distance. He has changed the narrative from separation to solidarity, from loss to legacy, from silence to shared voice. And for that, we, the people of the Caribbean, are eternally grateful. And while tonight we bid him farewell in one capacity, we know his mission continues because institutions outlive individuals, but only when those individuals give their soul. Professor Oramah, you gave Afreximbank soul. You humanized finance. You gave meaning to the numbers and heart to strategy. So on behalf of the government and people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and indeed the entire Caribbean region, I thank you. We thank you. You have left an indelible mark not only on this continent, but across the Atlantic, on the nations of the Caribbean. And now, to Dr. George Ilombi, allow me to extend my warmest congratulations and allow me to say that what you are inheriting today is beyond a presidency. You are inheriting a promise. The promise that this institution will continue to serve as a bridge between Africa and its sixth region, the Caribbean and the global diaspora. On behalf of my brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, I express that we have every confidence in your leadership, your intellect, your integrity, and your capacity to lead. The torch has been passed on, and we trust you will carry it higher still, lighting paths across state lines, oceans, across economies, and across generations. You have our full support. And as we look forward, let us remember that the Atlantic is no longer a means to separate us. It now connects us. The Atlantic route that once carried our enslaved ancestors now serves as a bridge of limitless opportunities. Its waters carry not the memory of bondage, but the rhythm of belonging. So tonight, I want to finally say again, and also to extend salutations to Professor Oramah for his extraordinary service, and to welcome Dr. Ilombi to this new chapter. I once again reaffirm our commitment from St. Kitts and Nevis, from the Caribbean, and from the Caribbean community, and from the wider diaspora. Let us continue to keep that bridge going. For we know, as I've said before, that the distance between Africa and the Caribbean was never a divide. It was always a bridge. Let us finally finish the Atlantic bridge. And so today, we take another step together. Take another step to strengthen the relationship between the Caribbean community, Africa, and the Afreximbank. So I want to say thank you once again, and may our shared journey continue to power progress for generations to come. President Oramah, God bless you. May you continue to have a successful life. And I sat next to your wife, and I know that without your dear wife, what you accomplished would not have been possible. So she has shared that journey with you as well. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis. Thank you so much. Now, your final speaker, before we hear from the man himself, is a steadfast pillar of support, embodying grace, strength, leadership, and unwavering encouragement, not to mention profound love that has helped shape the legacy of our outgoing President, Professor Benedict Oramah. So, I know it's late, and we still have a party to go to, but please, I want you to give a very loud round of applause for Prof's Rock. Ladies and gentlemen, the matron of the Afreximbank Spouse Network, Mrs. Chinelo Oramah.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to stand on existing protocols. About 31 years ago, at the height of my youth, I chose to follow my love to Cairo, to whom I had barely been married for a year. It wasn't the kind of movement many would expect at that time, a period of African pessimism. And when one spoke of greener pastures, they meant jobs in Europe or the USA. Our pursuit of greener pastures in the deserts of Cairo wasn't green enough and had risks. Yet, it was one that would turn out to be most fulfilling and continentally impactful. Today, I stand here fulfilled, filled with a cocktail of emotions, most especially gratitude and profound humility as we mark the end of our Afreximbank chapter that began over 3 decades ago. When I reflect on the journey that has brought us to this moment, I am overwhelmed by the kindness, support, and camaraderie that have defined our experience here. This farewell is not merely a goodbye to an institution. It is a heartfelt acknowledgement of the countless individuals who have best made the last decade, and indeed our 32 years in Cairo, an extraordinary chapter in our lives. Over the past decade, and indeed throughout our 32 years in Cairo, this institution and this community have become far more than a workplace. They became my family. Afreximbank has not only supported my husband's vision, but has embraced our entire family with warmth, understanding, and unwavering solidarity. I have watched with admiration as Afreximbank has grown from strength to strength. But what has struck me the most profoundly is not just the institutional achievements, remarkable as they are, but the human fabric that holds this organization together. Behind every milestone, every groundbreaking initiative, and every transformative project, there are dedicated people who believed in a vision, who sacrificed personal comfort for collective progress, and who never wavered in their commitment to Africa's prosperity. I must be honest with you. This journey has demanded sacrifices from us as a family. There were countless vacations cancelled at the last minute because of urgent missions. There were birthdays, anniversaries, and family moments that had to be postponed or cancelled completely or celebrated hurriedly between flights and sometimes in between meetings. There were times, many times, when we were not entirely happy about what we had to give up. But we understood. We understood. My daughters understood. We understood that the work being done here was bigger than any single family, any single weekend, any single celebration. We understood, I understood, that when my husband was called away, it was because somewhere on this continent, a deal needed to be closed that would create jobs, or a partnership needed to be forged that would unlock opportunities, or a crisis needed to be navigated that could impact thousands of livelihoods. And if it were not for this very bank, this same bank, Afreximbank, my husband would not be standing here today. Several years ago, he fell critically ill. He was very ill that he had to be flown abroad. It was Afreximbank that ensured that he received the best medical care available. The bank's support, the concern showed by the board, the management, and staff, and the comprehensive care that was provided saved his life. I will never forget those difficult days, and I will never forget how this institution rallied around us as a family. That kind of support transcends employment. It is a family. It is love. It is humanity at its finest. I must say a very big thank you to President Edodu and President Ekra. We will never forget. And it does not stop there. If not for the bank, my children would not have attended the very best schools. They would not have had access to opportunities that allowed them to go on and build very promising future for themselves. The bank did not just employ my husband, it invested in our entire family's well-being, our growth, and our future. We often speak of Afreximbank's impact in terms of industrial parks, special economic zones, trade finance facilities, continental integration. This is a monumental achievement that will define Africa's economic trajectory for generations. But beneath all those impressive numbers and projects are lives being changed. Real people, real families, whose futures have been transformed by this institution's work. The bank changed our lives profoundly and irrevocably, and for that, words of thanks seems insufficient. To every single member of Afreximbank family, from the entire executive board members, the executive management, to the support staff, from those in front offices to those working behind the scenes, I extend my deepest gratitude. You have not only supported my husband's leadership, you have supported our entire family. there have been countless times when your understanding, your flexibility, and your genuine care have made the difference between merely surviving the demands of this role and truly thriving on it. Thank you for the late nights, the shared dreams, and the collective determination to transform Africa's trade landscape. Your dedication has made every sacrifice worthwhile, and your support has been the foundation upon which my husband and your president could pursue his vision with confidence and determination. For that, I will be eternally grateful. I must also extend special gratitude to the Afreximbank Spouse Network, ASNET. Your sisterhood, your understanding, your unwavering support have been a lifeline for me throughout this journey. You understood the unique challenges we face as spouses of those dedicated to this mission, and you created a community where we could share our joys, navigate our challenges, and support one another. The strength you gave me enabled me to be the pillar my husband needed. In the moments when the demands of this role felt overwhelming, when yet another family plan had to change, you were there with understanding, encouragement, and solidarity. Thank you for walking this journey with me, for holding me up and being my family away from home. Our story with Cairo began 32 years ago when we arrived in this magnificent city with hopes and dreams, but also with uncertainties. Would we adapt? Would we be welcomed? What will I do? How long will it take me to speak Arabic? How would I communicate? How would I navigate the city without much support system? But today, I can say without hesitation that Egypt has been far more than a host country. It has been a sanctuary, a place of growth, and a true home. The Arab Republic of Egypt, its government, and its warm-hearted people have embraced us with a hospitality that is legendary, but which we have experienced firsthand in the most touching ways. And to the government of Egypt, thank you for creating an environment where Afreximbank could not just exist, but flourish. Your support for the bank's mandates, your commitment to Pan-African cooperation, and your facilitation of our works across the continent have been invaluable. The conducive atmosphere you've created, you created and provided has enabled this institution to become a beacon of hope for African trade and development. And to the people of Egypt, you have welcomed us into your neighborhoods, shared your rich culture with us, taught us your tradition, and treated us not as foreigners, but as family. The friendships we have built here, the lessons we have learned from your ancient civilization, and the warmth we have felt in your presence will remain with us forever. Cairo is not just where we lived, it is where we have loved, laughed, grown, and belonged. Thank you. I will be remiss if I did not specifically acknowledge the executive leadership of Afreximbank. You are the architecture of strategy, the drivers of innovation, and the pillars of institutional excellence. But more than that, you have been my husband's trusted partners, his sounding boards, and at times his source of strength when challenges seemed insurmountable. Your brilliance in navigating complex financial landscape, your courage in championing bold initiatives, and your unwavering dedication to the bank's mission have been nothing short of exemplary. You have not just executed a mandate, you have helped shape the future of African trade. The legacy you are building extends far beyond balance sheets and project portfolios. It is a legacy of hope, opportunity, and empowerment for millions across our continent and the global Africa. And to the management and staff at every level, your professionalism, resilience, and your commitment to excellence have set standards that will endure long after we have moved on. You have created an institutional culture that values integrity, innovation, and impact. This is perhaps the greatest legacy of all. And to all business partners, friends from across the globe, your support is monumental. All these years, I have always said that a tree will never make a forest. No matter how brilliant, no matter how endowed my husband is, he will not have succeeded. We will not have recorded the progress we are celebrating today if not for your support, if not for your partnership, if not for your love, if not for your calls, your prayers, your well wishes. We will never forget. Thank you. Thank you. As we prepare to turn this page, we do so not with sadness, but with immense pride and gratitude. The gratitude for every person who has been part of this journey, and hope for the bright future that lies ahead for Afreximbank and for Africa and for global Africa. The relationships we have built, the memories we have created, and the bonds we have forged will not end with this tenure. They are permanent threads in the tapestry of our lives, and we will carry them with us wherever the next chapter takes us. It has been very, very touching and extremely humbling to hear all the tributes, the accolades, the well wishes poured out from the hearts from all the speakers today. It is really humbling. Thank you very much. Thank you for allowing us to serve. Thank you for your partnership, your friendship, and your faith. Thank you for making our time here meaningful and memorable and truly special. May God continue to bless the African Export-Import Bank. May He bless the Arab Republic of Egypt, and may He bless our beloved continent. With deepest appreciation and warmest regards from my three daughters who are here today, Adora, Barbara, and Isama. In my Igbo language, we say, Dalo, Shukran, Merci beaucoup, Asante Sana. Thank you very much. Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you.
The rock of Prof, the superwoman that is Mrs. Chinelo Oramah.